Great. So good morning again, everyone. I'm excited to kick off our ad week with some amazing titans in industry and some of my good friends on stage today. We're going to be exploring the true meaning of operational excellence within the media industry. And as most people here know, it plays a critical role in driving a modern day enterprise. So we're going to share some insights on implementing best practices to streamline operations and drive sustainable growth in media, while delving into the complexities of navigating multicultural markets and building strategies for crafting more inclusive content and campaigns that resonate with diverse audiences. So my name is Ashley Banks. I'm the EVP of Commercial at Group Black. Joining me on stage is Cynthia Jenkins, Head of Supplier Diversity and Managing Partner at Group M, and LaToya Shambo, CEO and founder, let me say this again, CEO and founder of Black Girl Digital. Okay, so I just want to dive in. Can each of you share a moment or example that highlights the importance of operational excellence at your own respective organizations?
Sure, absolutely. Wow, that's a little bit loud. In my organization within Group M, it's extremely important for diverse vendors to be heard and to be aware of how things move internally. It's important for them to be embraced and given the opportunity to grow by meeting with others, by having the opportunity to present, and to be aligned with the Group M priorities and the priorities of our clients. It's also important in that same vein for them to put their best foot forward and for them to show us what they've got and let us know who they are, what they have to offer, so that we can best align them with the initiatives that we know would suit their brand.
Exactly.
So for us as a creator media agency, what's really critical is the communication, because we are in the middle and between the creator personality, that creative mindset, as well as the business personality, and where are my deliverables?
Exactly.
So we really pride ourselves on creating the process and the terminology, the templates, to making sure that the creator understands what they have to deliver and the client understands what they're going to receive and when they're going to receive it. Because one of the biggest challenges in our operation as a creator agency is managing expectations and turnaround times. You know, it's always hurry up and wait.
Yep. Believe me, I know.
So we make sure we stand firm on our standards, and
Absolutely.
but we're also being very respectful of the creative process and communicating that to our clients.
I 1,000% agree. One of the things that we try to tell our teams is to over-communicate. You want to manage expectations, especially when you're a small company. You want to make sure that they know that your turnaround time might not be one that's like a big behemoth of a company.
Right.
So if you're managing those expectations, being upfront, that is how you can build that collaboration and that partnership.
Right. And the excellence is saying please and thank you.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I mean, we are Southern Bells.
In that.
So what best practices have you implemented to streamline operations and drive sustainable growth for your companies? I know that you have been able to do this incredibly well with Black Girl Digital.
Yeah, so finding the tools that helps us operate effectively is super critical. And the tools, especially in our, I'll say from a response perspective, because a lot of the questions that come is the same.
Yep.
Right? So it's like, all right, well, what system can we implement to respond to this question in a timely manner?
Exactly.
Because again, it's the hurry up and wait, but we want to make sure we also, I will say, treat our creators as clients. So we call them creator clients, right? And we give them the same respect as we do our brand clients. It's, you know, here, this is what we're expecting from you. If they have a question, we make sure we respond to them in a timely manner within our template system. Because again, it's a lot of the same questions. So it's not complicated to show respect from an operational perspective.
I agree. What about you, Cynthia?
For us, it's funny you say that, hurry up and wait. That's the constant response that I get from diverse vendors, like how long, when will I be bought? I always say, and I say in every time I have a speaking engagement like this, be ready so you don't have to get ready,
Yes.
because you never know when that's going to be. Internally, at the agency, we are making sure we are aligned with our clients' initiatives and goals. But within that, there's also the goals and the processes that are internal within the agency. To come inside, not know the process, and then move how you feel free to move might not be the best way to go. So it's important to be able to put your best foot forward, ask the tough questions, understand the KPIs, and make sure that you have complete understanding to be able to move forward. And cast a wide net. Speak to investment, speak to planning, make sure you have full understanding. And when you get inside, stick to the script, do what you know best. But in that, make sure that you have understanding of the next steps before walking out the door. So many get so excited by just being inside that they pontificate everything about who they are and what they have to offer, but they haven't received what the goals and intentions are for the property, the agency. They haven't necessarily done their research on the agency and what's moving internally. Maybe there are some things that, if you'd read the trades, you would have had a little bit more of awareness as to what's happening within the agency and externally and with some of the accounts. So it helps to do the work.
Exactly.
And to have an open mind, but to be ready so that things will move swiftly when the switch gets flipped in your
Stay
favor.
ready so you don't have to get ready.
And I'll add to that. So staying ready when you're partnering with an agency is creating a process for your follow-up, creating a process for your all right, once we close the deal, what does that look like?
Exactly.
I think that especially new businesses that come into the space and they finally break in with an agency, they don't know what the next step is.
Right.
But the next step as your own company, you have to say, this is what onboarding looks like, from contracting, from creative, from whatever the case may be. It's really creating that process to seamlessly activate with an agency.
And don't skip steps
Don't skip
in the
steps.
process.
If you're on my team and you're out here, don't skip steps. We have been doing the same. So one of the things that I lean on is making sure that we have templates, making sure that people understand process, understand their scope. But also we deploy AI. There's a lot of work and there's a lot of free assets that are out there that you could be able to utilize to help yourself to be a little bit more efficient. So make sure that you're checking on that. I have AI that helps out with my follow-up, with my meeting notes, so that I can be more efficient and actually pay attention to the client. That's one less thing that you have to worry about. So you can hear those KPIs. You can hear their direction. So I'm with y'all, and I will forever remember, stay ready, so you don't have to get ready.
Absolutely.
So with all of this, how are you balancing the need for operational efficiency when you have so much demand for creativity and innovation? Like, everyone wants something that's never been done before, but then if you don't have a template for it,
Right.
how are you moving forward?
Well, you can't really templatize the creative genius.
You really can.
What I will say is, like, as a CEO, it's actually my responsibility to manage the team's capacity, right? I pay attention to what everyone is working on and making sure we're building and onboarding the right tools to help them be more efficient. Because when the team is overwhelmed and overworked, it's harder for them to be more creative and innovate. So creating space for them to have the space to create and innovate is really important for me as I'm scaling my business right now.
You can't really templatize, but you can follow direction, right?
This is true.
Because, and I'll take it. I just heard about a 45-page brand brief, RFP, these things happen, but they're detailed for a reason, right? So you can't deviate from script, but there are people at every agency that are there to help you through it. So there's a me at every agency. There's a person to assist with diverse vendors and get you to the other side. If you don't understand, ask the question, raise the flag, and be clear to communicate so that people can help you with your journey. So it's a give and take, and that's, quite honestly, the hardest part.
I mean, this leads into the next question. If you're a small company, a diverse-owned company, can you give advice on how to navigate larger agencies, larger holdco companies like a Group M or a WPP?
It can be a challenge, but it most definitely can be done, as both of you know, because we know each other, so something was done, right? Cast a wide net. Take the meeting, make sure that you cover off on planning, investment, the digital team, the creative, we talked about GOAT, right? All of the things that the agency has to offer. Make sure you are aligned, and when you get inside, you have full understanding. Feel free to double back with your diverse representative that will help give you guidance. But in that, have full understanding of the request. And if you have any questions about their processes, ask them in real time so that they can answer. In that huge RFP that might come out, they might tell you, pages 7 through 10, you can skip. But if that's what you were informed, then you can put that in your submission. If you didn't ask, if you didn't pause or inquire to, could I go through this with someone before I submit, then you're in a situation. So I think as long as you're clear about all of the parameters and requirements and what you have to offer and how that aligns with what they're looking for. They're looking for what they're looking for, not necessarily everything that you have to offer. So make sure that in that process, you are able to say, well, I have this, which is aligned with what you're looking for, or I have this, which is adjacent to. Could that cover off on what you're looking for? If you ask someone to their face in real time, you're gonna get an answer,
Exactly.
right? So it's a little bit different.
And I'll just add to that, what's important is to operate where you're excellent at. It's really challenging as a marketer to want to do everything. We just want to do everything because we think we're good at everything. But sometimes when you try to do too much, you drop the ball, you fail, and you might not get that second chance, which is not a good thing. But what I'm saying is, when you operate out of a space of where you're excellent and you kill it in that one area, then later on you can double back and say, hey, we actually offer this too. Can we try this with you? Can you introduce me to the next department that can help me execute in this other area? Because now you have the trust of this person because they've seen what you can do and you've delivered it with excellence.
Exactly. I agree, because one of the things that we absolutely lean on is using quantitative metrics. Not just, oh, this felt good, this looked good, but did we hit KPIs? Did we hit our own internal KPIs? What does success look like for us? And then making sure that you're doing postmortems after each campaign. Before, you're recapping all of the things that you know the KPIs, you know how you're reaching the KPIs, and then afterwards, you're actually going through and giving yourself a score and sitting down and having tough conversations with your team if you aren't actually hitting those metrics, and then come up with ideas for the next time so that you can be ready, as you would say.
Exactly.
So I want to jump to how we are actually measuring success of inclusive campaigns. I know that that's something that has been of interest in the industry is, what are we doing to measure success? How are we defining success?
So, this is the biggest question that it is a tough question, because what we do, we force our clients to give us hardcore success metrics.
Exactly.
I am sick and tired of, brand awareness. No, no.
What? How are you measuring that?
What does that look like for you, actually? Right? It's like, if it's like, all right, well, we want to reach more diverse people, more multicultural people, more Black people. Okay, great. Well, where do you want to reach them? And where are you with them now and on that specific platform, right? So if it's, well, we want more Black people to come to our website. Well, how many people come to your website now? Tell us where you are now so we can effectively build in how we measure where we're going to get you, right? And put well, if you only have, 20 people here today, after this campaign, you want to see 50 people. Now we can better create a strategy on how we're going to help get 50 Black people to your website. Now I can find the creators that can clearly say, hey, go to this website here and do this. So now we're actually strategy and activating and helping you actually achieve that success metric. Because at the end of the day, when we show that we drove 50 people to your website, actually we drove 60, now we overperformed. You should be able to say, you know what, we're going to renew. And actually, because you over delivered, we're going to increase your budget. And that's where we try to be super effective in that success metric conversation. But we also do brand lift studies and all the jam.
I would just say that I like to add in why. I want to know why you're wanting to reach a certain audience. I want to know why you chose to come to us. You should always know why a client is working with you
100%.
and why they're trying to reach a diverse audience, because that's going to help you to almost retrofit some of your solutions so that you can hit those KPIs and make sure that you're checking in. That is a valuable opportunity to get in front of your client. You check in and you ask, are you seeing the same success as I'm seeing? Because you might zig, but I might zag thinking I'm doing an incredible job when maybe not. Or maybe I'm doing incredibly well and you want to give me incremental. So make sure that you're checking in with your clients as often as possible.
Yeah, do feedback surveys. We send out loops.
Absolutely. I think metrics, it's, the future and it's the present, and it's where every repeat business grows and continues to have a partnership, which eventually becomes a relationship, or they're all coinciding together. So many diverse owned, and the targeted are in a different realm, but the diverse owned properties are looked at as small businesses, and they are. So you don't come out the gate with all of the metrics and all of the opportunities, but you have to have something, right? Because then it's just, well, we tried it, but how do we know the success? So when you're having the conversation, of course, you want a direct buy, and that's the most authentic way to get to the core consumer and to make sure you're reaching who you intended to reach. But if in your phase of business growth, you don't have the metrics that are needed, offer something. Data polls, as you mentioned, a way to track and measure that we hit all of the KPIs. There's got to be some sort of way so that you have to understand this is an investment. How do we justify the spend, and how do we grow the partnership relationship based off of, I wanted to try that. There's movement all the time. There are people that are in roles and they move on. We want to make sure that your business is always known and coveted, and it's the metrics that help you.
So, taking a step further, I would love to understand from both of you, knowing that you work in supplier diversity. You are a Black-owned company that is reaching what we like to call the new majority. I want to understand the importance of supplier diversity in achieving operational excellence and its impact on your overall business strategy, because everyone is trying to reach the new majority. But what is the impact?
So the impact from a small business perspective, it allows us to grow. It allows us to scale. And I can't say fast or slow because it really just determines, you know, the business that we're kind of working with. But when it comes to agencies, for me, I started on the agency side, so I understood the ecosystem, and I created my business to support the agencies because I recognize the opportunity that eventually in this creator space it was going to be needed, you know, and so finding the right person to help us navigate the ecosystem and be introduced to the right team so that we can help impact their company through what we do from an operational perspective. It really means everything. And so I'm always like on the ground fighting. Like, what room do we need to be in? Like, you need to know what we're doing. How can we help you? How can we be better? And I actually do always ask, how can we be better? You know, because we're not perfect. And as a small business, there are gaps in the space and there are gaps in our process. And as we're working together, I'm not saying every campaign is perfect, but I'm saying help us help you help me.
Absolutely.
Help us help you help me.
And we can, and we can, and we will. I mean, we need you. Thank you. We need you. At the end of the day, diverse suppliers, supplier diversity, it's critical to operational excellence. The importance of a diverse supplier is crucial in that it is a community creating content for a community that they understand because they are of that community, right? So authenticity is key. People, we all know the stats, are more apt to respond and react when they see themselves in content, right? We were just talking about watching a show, and if I give it a time limit, if I don't see myself, I'm shutting it down.
Same.
I was raised that way, right? So to a certain extent, these are things that people have been doing all their lives. And so we're not new to this. Very many consumers are picky, as well they should be. So if you're marketing to me, I need to see myself in those ads. And so diverse suppliers are just crucial to the growth and operating in excellence because it's authentic. It's rooted in authenticity.
I agree. So how are you ensuring, because this one is tough, we know it, but how are you ensuring that content and campaigns are inclusive, are resonating with audiences? Because you have two different purviews. You're working with creators, and in digital, you're more on the agency side. So I'd love to hear from both of you if we can.
So my perspective of inclusivity is real inclusivity. Like we executed a campaign with the city of Boston, and we had all people. You know, we had Black people, we had LGBTQ, we had white people. Like that was an inclusive. That's an inclusive campaign. The goal was to show that all people can enjoy the city of Boston. You know, no matter your religion, your sex, your gender, and push that conversation forward. But when our clients work with us, they know they're getting an inclusive campaign. They know they're getting a diverse campaign. They know that we're helping them achieve that goal. You know, so there's no question there. For us, from a growth perspective, you know, we want to communicate better that we can help you reach more audiences.
Exactly.
And it's not just Black audiences that we can reach and target, but we can help you reach Hispanic audiences because how we built our team and our perspective is that in itself is very diverse. We're considering all perspectives. We're not just, I mean, we're Black Girl Digital, but we're not just all Black girls.
I mean, we're Black and we're not just
Right.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because that is one of the things that I feel like a lot of companies are facing, especially when you know how to work with the new majority. And so being able to evangelize the fact that there's always going to be a halo effect when you're more diverse is one of those challenges that we're trying to meet.
It's the future. And it's about future-proofing your business, and for my clients, future-proofing their campaigns. And it's a business must. It's not a LIFO, last in, first out, or a nice to have. It's a must have. You have to have representation, not only because representation matters, but because, like I mentioned, people are more apt to react when they see themselves. The authentic part can be a little bit tricky, but most clients are making sure that they diversify and have all representations within of cultures within their marketing team to make sure they are being authentic with their messaging. Within that, internally at the agency, we most definitely have all ethnic group represented, all cultures represented to make sure that the messaging is on point. It's just where the world is headed. You know, we know the stats. You have the stats about the new majority, the $5 trillion, and where the world is headed. You should get in front of it. And so it's good to reflect and have your internal ability to say, I have people on my team. It's good to be able to reach the masses and say that I can also reach other cultures, but don't forget to perfect your craft and bloom where you're planted. So if you are stellar at being the Black girl digital person that you are, bloom there and grow as opportunities arise with those who have trusted and invested in you. Being all things to all people can sometimes weaken the threads. But when you're known for something and you're stellar, folks will definitely give you a try. We can attest to that.
And I would just add to the piece that you mentioned, the stats really don't lie. I mean, when we did our study with Nielsen, we found that Black creators actually had 10.5x the media value than others. And that was across the board. It wasn't just because they were reaching Black people, it was because they were reaching everyone, because it seems like the new majority and our markets are demanding content, media, creative to be more inclusive. And so it's a business imperative, as you mentioned, to be able to meet those demands of your future consumers.
But even when I look at some of the creator audience insights, some of our Black creators actually reach more white people than Black people.
It's true.
You know, so when we're really thinking about culture and trend shifting, I think that is something that we have to take into consideration, even with the spend. It's like we should be increasing spend across Black creators because they are reaching more audiences outside of the Black community.
So I have one last question for y'all. What advice would you give to media companies looking to enhance their operational excellence while also prioritizing diversity and inclusion?
I'd say inside out, you know, you really should look inside your organization and make sure that there is full representation across the board. And then you start to look at your outward collateral, right? Because one thing that I do when brands come to say, hey, we would like to work with you, I go to look at their website. I go to look at their social spaces. I go to look to see, well, how diverse are you and how much work you are actually asking us to do, right? The why question. We go in there. we do our part because I know that our creators are going to also do the same thing. And they're not going to want to work with a brand who has no representation at all. They're going to push back. We also try products. Like, all right, if you're going to ask us to send this to someone, let us do a little, you know, sprinkle, razzle dazzle first. Because they ask, did you try it? They really ask us, you know? So inside out, again, make sure your teams are diverse in representation, and then make sure your marketing collateral represents what you are trying to do and achieve and where you're trying to go. We understand, especially legacy brands, it's not gonna happen overnight, you know, but have the plan in place and hold your team accountable for making sure that plan executes. And so that your organization grows into this inclusive and diverse environment.
Excellent. There's definitely steps. and ways for diverse suppliers to achieve operational excellence. But it's really very many of the things that we've touched on in that just be ready and asking the questions. But within that, stay the course, perfect your craft, understand the KPIs, stick to what you know, like you know, like you know. Talk up your owned and operated. Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions, even if you don't feel that you are what they are looking for, because there are opportunities where they will take a chance without that awareness. Brands, media properties, they have to get started somewhere. Very many of the tables that I sit at, not only are they looking at who's established, the established brands, who's on their way, but give us one or two that we could maybe help out here. And so that means the world to me, because we don't want, anyone to say, well, who's next? Who's hot? What matters? And who's on the horizon? Those are the ones that are almost there that can get a test. And so many diverse suppliers say, well, I'm just getting tested. When will I get a full-blown, schedule, or what's happening here, and when are the investments going to start flowing? It is called crawl, walk, run. So, let's work together, have that understanding, come back to them, get the feedback, show the metrics, show that you delivered as issues and things arise, because they will, even for the most seasoned brand. Be forthright and be honest and say, listen, I'm the same person that sold it to you, that created the copy, that ran the traffic. Be honest. And people will accept that, saying, let's give them a little bit more time, right? Because they believe in you. So take the chance, but stay the course. Stay the course.
It's definitely the long game. I will say,
Absolutely.
It took me 1 year to close Disney. It's the long game. And you have to really stay positive and have faith. Not believing that you're worthy of this opportunity is what's going to prevent you from getting and closing that opportunity. And just because the no is for today, it's not really the no forever. It's just, actually right now, we don't have the budget to give to you, but just give us a second and take it. I take every no that way. It's always a give me a second.
Yeah, it's a not now.
That's a great perspective.
But when you stay ready,
ready.
y'all are going to hear this from me all day.
You
But
ain't
when you
gotta
stay
get
ready, then you are going back, you're auditing your tools, you're looking at some of the resources that you have. We talked about AI, we talked about templates, we talked about going in armed with the questions, staying the course, making sure that you're staying true to who you are as a company. Over communicate with your clients. I cannot say this enough. Check in. Don't be afraid to hear what your score is, whether it's good or bad, because feedback is a gift, as someone once told me. And when you take that and you actually implement change, that is how you get closer to renewal, but that is how you know what is working and what's not. Do more of what's working and be as patient as you can. I hear you, Cynthia. I think that one was for me, because I'm like,
No, it's for everyone.
well, thank you all so much for being here with us today. Thank you, LaToya. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
So grateful to both of you.
All good. Thank you so much.